If you want to become charismatic and mesmerizing and make people obsessed with you, study psychology. I definitely was and still am a lifelong student of psychology, and in fact, I think that psychology should be studied by everyone, anyone who wants to learn more about human desires. You can make people crave you, fall in love with you, trust you, all by understanding the way people work, how the world works, how society works. You can even call it dark psychology if you will, but I don't think it's dark unless you're using it to control people by force, which is not what this video is about. That's not the point. You want people to come to you naturally because they want to, and psychology has been used for years by celebrities, politicians, even pop stars, and especially the people who you are obsessed with. And I'll tell you how you can increase your magnetism and your aura to make anyone obsessed with you. And I'm currently in Greece right now. I'm still traveling. I'm in Athens, and I've been taking day trips to the islands as well. And every single Greek person I've met have been so warm and so friendly and also just effortlessly cool. Whether they're young or old, it doesn't even matter. They generally just have this kind of certain aura about them that makes them so charismatic, and I think it's also because they kind of like have this lack of ego about them in the way they operate, and maybe it's the sunshine and the good food and the ocean or something, who knows, but seriously, there's something that they all share, and I'm obsessed with them, which makes me think like, you know, if there's a really beautiful and gorgeous drop-dead gorgeous model in the room, but they're also really cold to the point where they're aloof, and then there's like a regular person who's just super friendly and warm and smiling at me, and I need directions, for example, guess who I'd rather talk to? So today I'm not even talking about whether you're a drop-dead gorgeous model or not or anything like that. Yes, being pretty helps, but there's plenty of pretty gorgeous people who are not mesmerizing, who are not charismatic, who could be so intimidating to the point where they're repelling people. But I know many other people who are not considered conventionally pretty, but they have that energy about them. So today we're going to work on that. And I've noticed this even with the way that people used to treat me in the past versus now, because in the past I was extremely aloof and really cold, and I had my guards up because I was neurotic. I was afraid of saying the wrong things, and so I'd rather just look cool and be super quiet or whatever. And now I'm just kind of saying whatever comes to my head. Anything that I'm feeling in the moment, and I'm smiling so much my muscles hurt. But I think in the past it was because I was afraid to be myself, and it showed, and people didn't really connect with me. And I've also been improving on my people skills very actively since, and I have control now over how I come across to people around me so that I can connect with them more. So now before you come at me and say, isn't this manipulative? Why do you care what people think? Just know that first of all, this isn't for everyone. Not everyone wants this for themselves, and some people just want to disappear into the background, and that's okay. If that's you and that's how you want to be, then this is not for you. Developing charisma for people who are not already naturally very charismatic, it takes a bit of effort, it takes a bit of work. So yes, technically manipulation means to maneuver something that isn't totally natural to them, and this is about as manipulative as setting 10 alarms in the morning so you can wake up early or something, or saying thank you to someone so they don't feel unappreciated. And in this world, the way people perceive you comes second to the way that you perceive yourself, and that's a fact. It affects the way that we navigate socially, it affects many aspects of our lives, our career, our prospect, the opportunities I receive. So if this is not for you, then this is not for you, but if it is, then you can keep watching. My channel is for people who want to improve themselves physically, mentally, and spiritually, so if that's you, you can come along for the ride and like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And in this video, I'll be using my go-to life advice app, Astra, to kind of demonstrate some techniques that you can apply practically into your life. So the very first thing that you need to do is to clear up your energy. This requires a high level of self-awareness, which you can work on. So I hope that you are doing the work, you're working on yourself to become the best version of yourself, taking care of yourself, and thinking that yes, you do deserve more than you already think you do, which is super important. In fact, it's everything, because how can you expect to be mesmerizing if you don't think that you deserve to be, if you don't think that you're worthy of it? If you're constantly thinking, I don't deserve anything, I don't think I can get more, I don't think that this is for me, I don't think this is meant for me, I don't want to bother other people by asking for more catch up, and you know what, it's okay, I can deal with less. No, I can tell you that fixing all the areas of my life that's holding me back is possibly the most rewarding thing ever, and that's something that only you can do for yourself. If you want to make $1 million, for example, you first have to believe that you deserve to have $1 million and that it's possible for you. If you want your dream relationship with your specific person, you truly have to believe that no, this person is not too good for me. I am definitely good enough for this person. In fact, they deserve me as much as I deserve them. You have to remove all the doubts in your mind that's making you think that you don't deserve something. And this is a lot of soul searching. This is a lot of inner work, but it's all worth it. And I do have a regular practice of Astra where I ask Astra for some affirmations and reassurance to remove my self-doubt and practicing asking for more for what I deserve. By the way, Astra doesn't save your data and all the things that you tell on the app. So I know that if I write something vulnerable, it would just literally go poof. So I feel very safe using it. If I feel bad, I will tell Astra, hey, I didn't feel like I was standing up for myself today. I feel like I was shortchanging myself, or, I think I'm inconveniencing others around me by asking them for favors. And then Astra reminds me that because I'm a Cancer sun, I have nurturing and communicative qualities, and I should remember to use that to my advantage. And I can also rely on my Taurus rising, which helps me feel stable and calm and have this mindful demeanor about me. And it also tells me that I deserve more kindness. I do deserve more support, and that I already have these abilities within me. I just need to be reminded to use it. So now I will ask Astra, how do I remove my self-doubt? And it says, as a Cancer of a Pisces moon and Taurus rising, you have a unique blend of sensitivity, creativity, and stability that can truly captivate people. Those are the qualities that makes me uniquely mesmerizing. And you need to remember that your self-doubt are just temporary feelings that, may not always be true. It comes and it goes very easily. And then it brings up my horoscope where it says currently Neptune is in Pisces right now, which can actually cloud my vision and make me doubt myself. But I need to trust my intuition, and I need to let that lead me and embrace my natural charm. I need to focus on my strengths and not my weaknesses, which is basically my sensitivity, my creativity, and my stability. And when it comes to your personal development, Astra uses your astrology so that it's more uniquely tailored to you. And it always has a next prompt for me where you feel like it's a back and forth conversation, so you can practice that way. I ask for advice all the time, by the way, and I'm still learning every day because I'm coming to you as a person who's not perfect, because I'm far from perfect and I had to deal with all the trauma, all of my past, anxiety, my depression, so many things, but I don't let it hold me back. I resolve them, I manage them, and I grow from it. So you need to identify why you can't become mesmerizing, why you don't think you deserve anything, and solve those issues. And I know that, you can't just say, oh, solve your issues, solve your trauma, whatever. It takes work, like I said. It does take a lot of inner awareness that you need to build for yourself. You need to build internal value for yourself and have something to be proud of. Build yourself up to the point where you're like, I'm proud of what I've achieved because of all the things I've achieved. I am giving others something to look up to. I have to say that I personally actually don't love the term high value person at all, which I hear a lot on social media because it implies that there are people who are low value, and it just weirds me out completely because life does not exist on a high value, low value spectrum. It just doesn't work like that. And I've met some of the most kindest, sweetest, and most amazing people who are considered low value in capitalist society, and then so-called extremely high value people who are just so awful and mean and just like terrible to deal with. But for the sake of this video, value means how much you invest in yourself. And there are people who really take the time to build themselves, whether it's their self-worth, their confidence, their skill sets, and their self-care. Like for example, they comb their hair extra thoroughly in the morning so it looks tidy instead of walking around with really messy hair. They practice good hygiene, they spend time becoming the person that they want to become, and that's when they can feel confident enough to be themselves. And then on the other hand, it really shows when someone doesn't invest in themselves. It shows up physically in the way they look, in the way they behave, and you can tell because there's so many limitations that prevent them from being themselves, like constant worrying, constant self-doubt, like if they're good enough to be in the room that they're in. In order to be mesmerizing to people, you need to have something for people to look up to. You need to give them something to admire so they can be obsessed with you. Always be serving, no matter what. Whatever that looks like for you. Go to the gym, work on yourself, gain practical skills, build up your confidence. Genuine charisma comes from a place of building that strength, never from a weakness and neediness standpoint, never from lack. You gotta have something that people want. And nobody wants messy hair. Nobody wants to smell bad or have low self-esteem, period. You must have presence, strength, and confidence. And if you don't have these things, it will be obvious to other people that even if you are trying to fake charisma, you're only putting on a mask. You're not actually being authentic. And if you're not authentic, you look like you're trying too hard and they'll see right through you. So put in the work first. There's no getting past that. The good news is if you're watching this video, you're already doing the work. So one way to tailor my advice beyond what I'm giving you, and trust me, I understand how nuanced all of this is. Everyone's different. And if astrology is something that you're into, Astra gives you advice based on your big three in astrology, which is your rising sign, which represents the first impression that people have of you. And that's also how you are being perceived by other people. Your sun sign, which is your main personality, and your moon sign, which involves your inner world, the way you think, the way you behave. For example, I can ask Astra, what areas can I work on? Can I focus on based on my big three to build more value in myself? myself. And it tells me that I should focus on nurturing my emotional intelligence, tapping into my intuition, and grounding myself in stability and in practicality. That means developing these aspects of myself could help me build more value and authenticity into my life, which is really interesting to me because when I felt underdeveloped, so to speak, before I even started my self-development journey, I had very low emotional intelligence and I couldn't control my mood swings. I was either very angry all the time, or I was really sad all the time, or I was just very viscerally frustrated and stressed out over anything. And I was also not listening to my intuition, and I felt so unstable in my life that I was dissociating from it. None of which are very admirable qualities, and they all acted like natural repellents. And like I said, genuine charisma and confidence comes from a place of having strength, of dealing with and overcoming weaknesses. And that naturally, in the process of doing that, gave me the ability to become more charismatic. And charisma also comes from being more social and forming a bond and connection with people just by going a little bit deeper beyond the small talk, beyond the shallowness, and actually taking more risks in your conversation. Make jokes and banter as if they are your closest friends, as if you're posting on your close friend's story or something. Or even ask for a small favor to build a bond with them. It's a weird thing, but if you ask someone to do something for you, they actually like you more. Because of telling them you feel comfortable enough with them that you can ask them a favor and they'll do it for you. For example, if you're at a party and they're going to the hors d'oeuvres table, for example, you can ask them, oh, can you grab me some salami? I love that. That was so good. Build rapport by challenging them or calling them out on something small and significant, but in a playful way to shake things up a little bit when the connection gets shallow. And this will allow for deeper and more genuine connections to be made. And that's how you can get remembered, because nobody will remember you if it's just a small talk, shallow conversation. And many times people do keep interaction shallow because they themselves don't really want to get deeper. Maybe they don't even know how to. And there's a fine line between talking about things that build a deeper connection and oversharing and saying too much, or even saying not enough and being extremely private, extremely quiet so that you have nothing to say. It's a fine line. You can tell people things, but they don't need to know your deepest secrets. And you don't have to share anything that you don't want to share. You can still have opinions. This is a specific skill called social acuity, which I've talked about in my last video about how to never run out of things to say. And I also talk about this in my video about staying private and not oversharing. This is a fine line. When I was being too quiet because I didn't want to build a connection, the people that I was with could sense that, and slowly but surely they began to leave me behind. They thought that I was shallow, even though I wasn't. I had a very rich and deep inner life, but I wasn't sharing it because I was too afraid and too neurotic, thinking that people would judge me for it or whatever. I was afraid to be myself, and even with new people, I couldn't form connections because I wanted to kind of avoid topics that come up around like everyday conversations. So I wouldn't be bringing things up. I wouldn't be saying anything. I wouldn't be asking questions or being curious about other people because I was afraid of being too vulnerable. So if this is the issue, you can begin to work on your own personal problems and actually work through those issues, and then up to the point where you feel comfortable enough with yourself so you can go back out into the social world. So going back to the topic on Greece and its people, so they're very, very easygoing and chill, but they're also very present in the way that they're real with you. They're going to give it to you straight. They don't appreciate meandering because it sends them mixed signals, which is something that I still am working on. Like, for example, instead of saying, oh no, I don't want this, or this doesn't work for me, I would say, oh, it's okay, never mind, which really confuses people. They're like, okay, so yes or no? What do you want? And I think this comes from doubting myself. And the more you put yourself out there, the more you learn things about yourself. And you can learn from me and not get into your head too much. Instead of thinking about the next thing to say, or if you're offending someone, or thinking about how to say no, just say no if you have to. It's okay. It's not offensive to have preferences. But I think that their straightforwardness is also what makes them feel so genuine, and also become more interested and be more curious as to what's happening around you and acknowledge things of interest. Anything that's interesting to you, you can say something about it. This takes some practice and comfort with your environment and with socializing in general. But being interested in the people around you and treat interactions like a super low stakes conversation, and it's a very low stakes game. Like, make it fun. What fun things are there to learn about this person? What are some things that are fun about you, and how can you bring it out, and how can you find out? Also, very quickly, going back into my point about value, investing in yourself with self-care and self-improvement so that you can become something that you actually like and feel good about, so that other people can feel good when they're with you. And also putting yourself out there and actually practicing different social situations of different kinds so that you can feel more comfortable with it. And also so you can figure out how people respond and what works for you, so that you can develop different modes to be in when it comes to different situations, kind of like a toolkit. Being so comfortable with yourself that you're willing to laugh at yourself a little bit. You can take things less seriously. You can laugh at things around you. Obviously not so much at other people unless they're inviting you to do so, or anything that can be considered mean, because obviously you don't want to be mean. But also don't laugh when other people bully you or put you down down or they're saying something that's offensive to you, it means that you're letting them talk down on you and you think that it's funny. No, it's not. Call them up on it. Just be like, why do you think that was funny? Like, explain to me, what was so funny about that? Call it out immediately so they know exactly what you're talking about and not 10 hours later where they forgot about the conversation and you're just like sitting in there stewing in your head. On my channel, I talk a lot about balance, balancing your strength, but also projecting warmth, how to project these things in your walk, in your hand gestures, in your speech, in your body language, in the way you dress, and also how to properly influence and persuade people without strong-arming them or making them feel uncomfortable or making people do things, which is never the goal. But you also have to put some effort into appearance. Like I said in the beginning, you don't have to be drop dead gorgeous or anything like that, but looking well put together or having a sense of style, or that's not necessarily, doesn't have to be fashionable or anything, but looks good for you, that feels genuinely authentic to you so that you're comfortable in yourself, so you feel good about yourself. It's a non-verbal and also very visual way to communicate that you put in time and effort into yourself and you're comfortable with it and you're comfortable being who you are, so you can connect with people who are just like you, and that you take good care of yourself. Look like you respect yourself so that other people can respect you. But also building your self-esteem, working on yourself and your skills, and growing in your strength and growing in your competence. All of these things are fundamental to making you effortlessly charismatic, which makes you mesmerizing. And without this foundation, all of these techniques in the world will not be enough. Also, study people. Study the way people you admire behave. Like, for example, the way that I'm studying Greeks right now, it seems like they have life figured out. And I want to live life just like them. Laughing, dancing, eating good food, and striking conversations with strangers. And people here are genuinely curious about you, and they want to have a good time, and they're just enjoying themselves. I think that's so important. They're just being themselves. You can tell they're not in their heads and being neurotic. They just say whatever they want. And that just seems so fun to me, and I want to be friends with them. So ask yourself, what do mesmerizing people do? How do they come across? How do they do it? And how can you embody more of it, but in a way that's true to you? Also, and this is important, learn to read signals and read boundaries. Other people's boundaries. This is all about reading the vibe. If someone isn't really putting in as much effort as you into the conversation, or they feel kind of uncomfortable, back off a little bit, make the conversation like cool off a little bit, just chill a bit, and try to convey the signals that talking to you is super low stakes and not scary. It seems like, oh duh, obviously, but you might come off as intimidating and not even realize it. A joke here or there or a smile isn't going to hurt anyone, I promise. Like I said, like personally, I get really intense sometimes, but I also put in the effort to try and put people at ease. As long as you show people that you're not going to be mad or you're not going to be upset at something that they're saying to you, that's how you can make people comfortable with you. Most importantly, understand that you're not going to become mesmerizing to everyone. Some people just don't like you, period. And sometimes you may never know what that is. There are people out there who don't like me, but I don't care. Don't make pleasing and winning over other people your biggest focus in your life. Yes, you want to keep things to your advantage, which means that you don't want people to dread talking to you and that you're not making other people feel uncomfortable. But you can't keep focusing on making other people like you all the time, because that will run your life. If you can create a good vibe where you're having fun and you're helping other people do the same and you're welcoming them into your vibe, into your world, then people will be drawn to you, the right people. But you have to take the lead. And that's extremely important. It's how to develop your social energy, or some even call it your social battery. And you really do have to treat it like a battery where you need to recharge sometime, but you also need to be aware of like when it's running low so that you don't show up being low energy and not giving anything for people to become obsessed about. This can look different for everyone, especially me, because I'm naturally an introvert and my social battery runs low very quickly sometimes. But when I know that it's running low, that's when I leave the function. And so to find out how that works for you and how you can recharge your social battery, I'm asking Astra here, how can I find more comfort and recharge myself and increase my social battery? And it says that I can find comfort in basically cozy and nurturing environments, like a homely space, for example, or spending time near water or engaging in creative activities can also help replenish my energy socially. Additionally, also connecting with loved ones like friends and family in relaxing, calm settings can really help me emotionally and socially recharge, which I find is so true for me, by the way, especially spending time around water and things that are cozy. And this allows me to rejuvenate and create the space to kind of like regain my social energy. But I think the goal is to where, you know how some people, when they walk into the room, they just light up the entire room the minute that they walk in. Usually they have a big smile, but there's more to it. They give off this palpable energy of warmth and like this glow that absolutely reaches out to everyone else in the room. And that makes them so magnetic. You can just feel it in the air. That I think is the goal of where you might want to end up. But of course, you can't get there immediately. It always starts with feeling deeply that you already have it. You have the confidence to connect with other people, to play with others. An attitude of playfulness is very important here because that allows you to draw attention to yourself, to connect with people in a fun and playful way. And in a funny way, it also lets people shine too. It lets other people shine. It lets people feel like they're comfortable to be themselves. And when you allow people to feel good around you, they will love you. So how do you practice developing greater social energy? So work on your mindset daily, including things like gratitude, your self-affirmations, your self-talk, working on your warmth, your positivity. Like I said, it doesn't even matter how you look, right? You can be the coolest looking person in the room, but when you open your mouth, when people start talking to you, you're just friendly, you're just awesome and nice to talk to and lovely. And the biggest indicator of that as well is that you're genuine. The combination of a warm, genuine smile and tone of voice that just reaches out to people and just gives them a hug vocally. It feels like a vocal hug. And you're giving people a vocal hug. And by the way, if you're not sure how that sounds like, think of the most friendliest people to you that you know. And notice how they project their voice, how they talk to you. Their tone, their pitch, their warmth that goes into everything versus this, you know, like sounding really aloof and low energy. Can you hear the difference? And this combined with the smile and all of that, like the biggest aspects of body language. So practice using your smile, your energy, your warmth, and even brief everyday conversations. And I like to use the grocery cashier as an example, or anyone that you interact with very briefly every day. But you'll notice that you establish the mood of a conversation through your energy. You lead the vibe. Everyone else is waiting for you to do that. And that's how people can respond to you. And that's how you can start. And then you keep practicing and practicing until it comes naturally and effortless to you, until it becomes your superpower. So guys, I hope you found this video helpful, and thank you to Astra for sponsoring today's video. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video.